Oh my goodness, everyone. Good evening to you. Happy Monday. Welcome to the final recording of the On the Ball podcast of the season. I know. This is going to be obviously a absolute belter. The best news is Hodgie has just joined us. So let me see if I can work this out. We've got Steve there, we've got Dan there, and there's Hodgie. I just like that, and he's got a Celtic. Oh my lord! I'm muting you before you say Irn-Bru, Stu. There you go. So that's exciting. God, Stu's beard is magnificent. Look at that. So that's our crew for tonight. You're telling me that is not a recipe for podcasting success? I won't hear anything against it. So that is going to be awesome. Let's see how much we can not talk about football. I mean, we've got so many fun things to other fun things to talk about. But in the meantime, I am just going to share the podcast recording as I do on the Facebook group. So if you could just bear with me for 2 ticks, that would be lovely. Almost done. Won't take long. We are doing our alternative awards later in the pod, so please do bring forward your nominations for that. I think we just need you to say which award it's for and what you're nominating, really, because it'd be good to just gauge some, especially if they're ones we haven't thought of that are maybe burningly necessary to say. It would be great. That is all done, I think. So yeah, this will be the last podcast we do of this season. We will come back in time for next season. Don't worry. But with that, I think we're ready to go. And I reckon we crack on. Because the sooner we get started, sooner we'll be done, eh? It's going to be loads of fun. Enjoy it. I will. I'll see you on the other side. Let's start with some intro music, shall we? Let's do this. Hello, all, and welcome to edition 106 of On the Ball, the Norwich City podcast that loves it when someone puts the boot in, golden or not. I'm just wondering, 106. No, Norwich didn't concede that many goals, did they? No, that's all right. I'm Michael Bailey. I cover the Canaries for The Athletic, and I hope this finds you safe and well. On the way, it is over. I put that in capitals, and I've added an exclamation mark at the end. It is over. Were they lapses, or lacking in appreciation, and the shortest award season in history? We will work through all that and more with our guests this final evening of the season. They are Norwich numberwang chief at NCFC Numbers, also known as our very own Steve Sanders.
Hello, Michael. Pleasure to be here.
We have former Norwich City head of content and program editor, Dan Brigham.
Evening, Michael. Good to see you.
And I've written here maybe later, but not maybe later, because he has nailed it in terms of timing. It is our own Scottish maestro, commentator, journalist, and official Irn-Bru pronunciation adjudicator, aka.
Mate, that was really good. That was really
exactly the same as normal. What are you talking
about?
No,
it wasn't. You said it correctly on this occasion. The intonation was bang on.
Let's not do that argument again. But thank you, Stu. I do appreciate it.
By the way, your time to shine, because you get Alec Neil right, and he's back in the limelight. So, well, I mean, you're getting all the Scottish pronunciation right.
You have just jumped across to a whole section that we are going to reach later. So I'm gonna gloss over that. No, you've nailed it, Stu, because you've teased something that some people have actually been missing as well, because we've had messages that they've missed it. That's all I'm saying.
Excellent.
But we'll get there. We will get there. In the meantime, a big thank you to everyone out there watching and listening, because to be fair, you all deserve a round of applause, because, how long has this been going on for, this whole season? And of course, we've got these guys with us too. So how are we doing? Steve, how are you?
I am very well, Michael.
Is that your default answer?
I mean, it pretty much is. I feel like we're just going through the motions at this point. Someone has asked in the comments, did you enjoy your beer last night?
Yes. Lots of people said it looked really flat. That would be, I think it's been in my fridge for probably 10 months.
And keeping with the season then.
Yeah, well,
you would say, indeed. So yes, it tasted nice. I don't drink a lot of beer, but I do like a beer, and it was incredibly needed at like 12:30 last night after watching Match of the Day.
Are we allowing flags of other clubs to appear in the background of this podcast now? I just want to check on whether that is acceptable behaviour.
Mate, forgive me, right? Like I've been totally cheating in Norwich City. I'm having an affair at the moment, and do you know what? Who can blame me?
Absolutely.
You've gone back to your first love, haven't you, Hodgie?
Yeah,
I have. Like I don't know. I think I would be a good character in a soap right now. You know what I mean? Like this is the plot line that all the fans wanted. So.
You've been treated like dirt for a year now, to be fair. So but it's a Celtic flag for the uninitiated.
Yeah,
here in my dirty den with my Celtic flag. What can I say?
What does it say on it, Stu? Can you read it out?
Champions, we never stop.
Well, I mean,
and
the season has finished now, though. It has stopped, hasn't it?
Yeah. Also, he didn't win it last year.
No, to
be honest. Yeah, but Ange Postecoglou was not there last year, Michael. This is a new Celtic football club, and oh my goodness, they play football that is mesmeric.
Wow.
As Norwich City may well see pre-season.
Well, I mean, a whole year of pain, Stu, and you've jumped ship. So well done.
Oh, right, mate, come on, a whole year of pain. Let's say that there was like 2 years of pain with something segmented in between. Also, can I just say to any of the Norwich fans out there that are planning to come to Scotland, please feel free to contact me because I want to welcome as many people as I can. I might even take people around Glasgow or something if there's enough folk, because I love my Canary family just as much as my Celtic fam.
You could end up with like 5,000 people turning up, Stu. Let's meet Hodgie and have a barbecue.
I know I've got the beard, mate, but I'm not that sort of standard of biblical popularity yet.
Don't doubt yourself. Don't doubt yourself. I mean, me and Stu, we've been doing interviews and all sorts between us for years now. And I remember there was definitely a point where you said, "I'm trying to keep it under wraps who I support in Scotland." So I guess we're beyond that now.
Yeah. I gave up on that because, I just decided that I would be quite out there about the fact that. Yeah, I mean, I went on Celtic Fans TV, announced that Eddie Howe was a done deal as manager. That went well. That's the best journalistic mistake I've ever made.
Overrated,
and then,
Eddie. Don't worry.
Nah, definitely. When you look at Ange Postecoglou, mate, I'm so happy I got it wrong. But funny you mentioned the beard, actually, because on the latest wee appearance I did on there, somebody said I looked like Jim Royal. And rather than shave it, I thought, let's lean into it. Come on, you lazy little shark.
Lean into it. That is a great way of describing what we've done for this entire season. So Dan, I'm going to lean into you. How are you?
Overwhelmed by Hodgie.
Sorry, mate.
You're just jealous.
In awe of Hodgie as always. I'm good, thanks. I was wondering if you were saving that beer for the end of the season, much like Declan Rice was hoping to save his first ever beer for winning the Euros, which I now assume must be for winning the World Cup.
Has he not? Has he never had a beer? Is that?
No, he's never had a beer. He was going to. If England had won the penalty shootout at the Euros, he would have had his first ever beer.
I mean, is that the sort of thing like you would say to your child? Like, oh no, I never got drunk. I mean, does
he have children?
Maybe.
I don't think Declan Rice has children, does he?
No, I know, but has he? He must have.
He does have a massive hedge, though, as established by Zoe last week. So
he's a lovely guy. He's actually a likable.
Not as big as Grant Hanley's head.
Or as angular.
Well, I think we've established we're all well. So I think in the essence of progression, I reckon we move on. By the way, I do promise to knock down all the volumes on these things over the summer, because if I can't do it in 2 months, I'm never doing it. So here is this week's headline act. Oh, well now. Sunday was something, wasn't it? Norwich lost 5-0 at home to Tottenham, and Arsenal fans got a brief taste of the failure we've all known for what feels like a long time now. I mean, we don't really need to talk about this too much, do we? Let's be honest. Anyone give me something worthwhile that we experienced on Sunday? Maybe before you turned up at the... I had a lovely breakfast at Waterloo Park and the Feed Cafe. Plug for that. Absolutely beautiful morning it was.
It was a
lovely lunch at the Trafford Arms.
Yeah, I went to Benoli for lunch, and it was a lovely...
Yeah, that is a step up, Steve.
Yeah, it was my
Nailed
it's my brother's 30th this week. Actually, he said he's only going to listen if I give that a shout out. So I've done that now. But yeah, got a nice tan. It felt like I was browning nicely actually during the game. Beautiful sunny day. So yeah, should we just move on?
And we should say happy birthday to you, Steve, because it was your birthday a day before.
I feel very guilty because
2
you're one
days
of my
before.
best
2
mates, and I forgot. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm gonna call Stuart out on that right now. No, I'm not. But actually, I was thinking, thanks to a Dan Brigham tweet over the weekend, that I am now 1 year younger than Alec Neil was when he achieved promotion with us in 2015.
Wow.
Quite a sobering thought.
Wow.
Not
Anyway.
as sobering as being only 1 year younger than Alex Neil as I am.
I do find that hard to believe. Anyway, should we talk about a football match? I don't know if we should do that.
I didn't get to say what I had for my lunch. Everybody else.
What
Sorry,
did you have?
Stu. Is it Irn-Bru?
I had Irn-Bru. No, I had a rolling slice.
Oh, what is a rolling?
It's never going to
You
be
know it.
anything
You know
simple, was it?
A roll.
Slices can't roll.
Lawn sausage in a bap.
Lawn sausage.
Lawn sausage.
What is a
Aye,
lawn
it's
sausage?
square.
Oh, square sausage.
Square sausage.
That's
I
actually
don't-
really nice. Yeah.
Mm.
A rolling slice.
Big fan.
Even put some onion on it, just for a wee bit of
I
garnish.
think we need to save Stu from Scotland. We're gonna have to track back down.
Ah,
Well, that
I'm
sounds.
I'm
I think we
leaning
need to save
into
this
it, mate.
podcast from Scotland, to be honest.
He is leaning into it.
I never stop, mate.
No, I love it. It's too true. I now desperately want to try some lawn sausage and a rolling slice.
Do it when you come up in the summer, mate, for the
I
pre-season
know.
games.
This is it. We're doing
feeding of the 5,000.
we're doing a great job of putting this conversation off. It felt like there was a bit of rolling slicing going on. Does that work? Probably not on Sunday. Okay, so the football. What have I written down here? Dean Smith. Not much coming off for him. Question mark. I mean, is that a statement? Yeah,
Substitutes do. They come off.
they do. They do willingly come off. That is
Nah,
true.
Like off the pitch, not come off in terms of successfully being bringing magic to a game. Aye, no, do you know what? Right, judge the guy next season. That's all you can do. That's where I am with that.
Yeah, that seems to be, the perception, and he's certainly shielded from a good chunk of the blame for this year and this season. It was interesting listening to him speaking after the game. I found it quite interesting that he said, he let Tim Krul start because he's got international games coming up, and that would be
What is
would
that?
be good.
Yeah, that was
would
odd, wasn't it?
I've never heard that before. I don't think
We shouldn't really be doing favours to international sides, should we? We should be concentrating on our own side.
I've got nothing to play for, Dan. So I suppose.
Does Dean Smith owe the Netherlands something, or is he?
Well, I guess I mean, obviously felt that it would be the way he said it though was like, I thought I did Tim a favour, and then there was just this sort of pause and then he did that for the second goal.
Exactly.
Which
There's
I mean,
a lot of favours to go round on yesterday, I think.
Tim did make some good saves after that, did he, Steve? But ultimately, it was a very similar concession to against Newcastle.
Yeah, I mean, I think we, as I say, we keep finding amazing new ways to concede goals this season. I did sort of think last week it could get a bit messy, and I think it was 13 shots on target to 0. The shots on target thing is a bit like it's a bit funny because it sort of changed about 15 years ago in terms of like the shots that were blocked were previously regarded as being on target. But we've never had a team that's had 13 shots on target in that 15 years at Carrow Road, and we've only had 0 shots on target in that time frame 4 times. So that would indicate quite a lot of dominance. I mean, I thought we'd lost it at kickoff. Like, that old adage of like the game's lost before the team's kicked off. Just kind of saw Spurs lined up in their crisp white shirts, looking like athletes. And then it was a bit village cricket, just turning up in jackets with their kids under their arms. And I just thought, we're going to get battered here.
Felt like we brought in some ringers, didn't it?
It really did.
Is that cricket?
We sort of did.
Ringers? No, I don't think so. It's just bringing in people like you don't really know because you're a few short for a team.
I always like to think they're good. I always like to think they're good players, though. I definitely said it was good. It was nice that they're human. It was nice that their families got to be on the pitch, and they did after the game as well.
Yeah, it was nice.
Oh yeah, it's lovely. Yeah, I mean, walk about a bit.
This is nice. It's nice that Tim Krul gets some, practice ahead of international duty as well.
But this is the point. So Dean Smith then does an interview afterwards where he's banned 3 words or 3 words he doesn't like, which are nice, comfortable, and I can't even remember the other one, but it was definitely something similar. Nice, comfortable.
Cantwell.
Oh my God.
Winning, scoring goals.
No, I'm just thinking, right?
I'll have to think of a third word. Carry on, talk amongst yourselves.
So there's never any success. So you're not going to say it's a nice goal. You're not going to say it's a comfortable lead because we don't do either of those things. So what happens next season if we actually start scoring goals again and leading games? If we do, but
Well, he wants to replace it with the word enjoyable. He said, didn't he?
Enjoyable and competitive, which would be nice, to be honest. Yes.
Yeah.
Something competitive would be a start. Happy was the other one. The words he doesn't like are nice, happy, and comfortable.
Well, he won't be listening to any Pharrell Williams then, will he?
But then, as you say, Steve, to play Tim Krul is a nice thing to do. Is he living by his own way?
Kind. You could mitigate that by saying it was a kind thing to do, and that's not in the banned list. So,
yeah.
Do we want to go big picture about what's wrong, or are we just keeping it light?
If you can sum it up in about 25 words.
Being a self-funded football club in the Premier League will never work because this league has eaten itself with its own gluttony.
Oh, that's a perfect sentence, Stu. You don't need to add anything else. That's amazing.
I can do succinct.
You saved us 8 hours of podcasting there.
I said something similar, not as elegantly put as Stuart has just there. 2 weeks ago, when I was last on the pod and got accused of being a Delia sympathiser because of that. So be careful, Stuart.
I think we have made this sentiment a few times. I don't know whether I've said it this season, but for all that, great for the Spurs fans to have that day out and stuff and to celebrate coming forth, good for them. But I still think, remember 12 months ago when your club tried to run off to Europe and just leave you behind, didn't actually give a monkey's about you. I'm not going to swap. I'm not going to swap for that. I'm genuinely not. I don't care how bad we are, and we are really bad, but I'm not going to swap for
those Spurs fans were celebrating getting into a tournament, the Champions League, that their club didn't want them to get into 12 months ago. They didn't want the Champions League to exist anymore.
That one out.
Do the Scottish Premiership champions still get in the Champions League?
Yes, they do, and they got automatic qualification, so we don't start playing qualifiers in June, which is helpful, because the coefficient has improved thanks to Rangers, which is absolutely beautiful.
That's where I thought we never stop comes from, is because you're playing qualifiers in the middle.
Mate, honestly, I think that's the reason Kieran Tierney's is injury prone. Genuinely, because what would happen is Celtic would finish their league in May, and then he would get 2-3 weeks off, and then he would have a Scotland game, and then they'd be into Champions League qualifiers. So.
The biggest positive I took from the game, actually, just on that theme, is realising that Harry Kane would finally have a summer off, because of all he's done is played every single 90 minutes for Spurs over the last 6 or 7 seasons, then gone straight into a tournament, looked absolutely knackered, and then gone straight into another league season. So, for former Norwich legend, of course, Harry Kane, it's just lovely to know that he'll actually have a holiday for a couple of weeks now.
5,000 words on Harry Kane's loan spell on The Athletic. It's a brilliant read. I loved it. I rewatched every minute, so you don't have to, of his loan spell. Don't tell me it was rubbish. Don't tell me he was rubbish. It's all in there. Brilliant.
Here's the thing. Heung-min Son, happy for him. He's a lovely player and seems a really nice guy.
Absolutely. And what I did right here, Son is incredible. And that was kind of, from a bigger picture of watching the game, that was a bit a kind of fun thing to see them try and set him up. But also, I thought Dejan Kulusevski was awesome. He's exactly the sort of player that would go straight in my fantasy league team.
Yeah. and awesome. Bentancur as well. But also, as incredible as Son and Kulusevski both were, they had 3 absolutely terrible misses in that second. I mean, Kulusevski. I know we're doing awards later. Was that a miss of the season? It was obviously. I'm comparing that directly with Josh Sargent, who I thought had the award wrapped up, but I think Kulusevski's might have been worse.
Worse than Zaha's penalty?
Oh yeah, you're throwing in one in from left field now.
Oh,
Jeez.
we'll have
No
to come
pace
up with-
penalty as well.
Hang on, we'll have to come up with the answers later.
Okay,
I mean, the
okay,
thing about
forget it.
Kulusevski, I suppose, on the replay, because I just assumed he was looking up to find Son and was trying to set him up. But then on the replay, I couldn't work out whether he just didn't get his feet right. It was just very weird. But
Did he try to Panenka it? I couldn't, because I've not seen the replay. I just saw it live.
Why not?
He sort
You
of
would, wouldn't you?
stumbled.
Playing Norwich. How can I absolutely embarrass them? What embarrassment is left?
See, that's the
what else?
thing. We are that team, like you have been. No, sorry. Carry on. Miserable.
Thanks, Stu. Thanks for underlining that point.
That's me puncturing the balloon of
With your
happiness.
Celtic flag. What else? I felt a bit for Jakob Sørensen because he was playing left centre back. You know, it was nice to see him out on the pitch, but in another position he's never played before. I feel he gets the raw end of the deal a little bit. The lap of appreciation. Tell you what, we'll talk about that in a minute. And the golfing class, was something else. I've literally ticked everything off from the game. Is anything anyone else wants to bring up about Sunday's
I just
game?
thought poor Dimi and Nulis, like he looked really good in spells, like bringing the ball forward. He actually looked like the only one capable of doing that, but he also played them horribly. Bentancur horribly onside for the first goal, and then the defending for the third goal was really just like a player with no pace, just easing past you. I don't know. It's just typical Dimi. The reasons why he should play and the reasons why he shouldn't, encapsulated in 90 minutes, basically.
And that point, I know it'll be in the Championship, but I just don't think Dean Smith will trust him defensively.
No.
I just don't see why he would. But we'll see.
You know, there's a poster going about with like a certain protagonist that's missing that pertains to Norwich City Football Club. What about Christos Cholis? Just while we're talking Greek, like where's he? What's happening?
He was there. He wandered out. He did a nice run at.
He's been on the bench,
game.
hasn't he?
Yeah,
he was on the bench.
Can see him being loaned out next season.
That would be great for his development.
They've got to kind of protect their asset because he's got the longest contract out of any
longest contract. What was the fee,
player.
Michael? You know the exact figures, probably, or at least have a better estimation than me.
It was around about 10 million quid.
Wow,
Close enough.
10 million quid for hardly a run out. I mean, it's like buying a Bentley and then driving your Ford Escort. What's the point?
Who's the Ford Escort? Dowell or Rowe?
Dowell's got a Escort about him. Rashica's more like a kind of, one of those cheap but slightly souped up Mazdas. Like, I think.
Used to have a Mazda MX-5.
That's the model I was going for. I'm not a petrol head.
We call it a hairdresser's car. There was actually a roller, not a rolling slice, or a hair roller in the boot when we bought it. So there you go. I'm all for this, by the way, because the less football chat, the better. What was I going to say? One thing I was going to say about the thing about the gets. Maybe this should be for the awards. I don't know. We'll think about the awards. Yes, this is definitely for the awards. But Christos Cholis is the player the signing who looked really good and then just fell off a cliff. And that, I think, is at Norwich's door, if I'm honest.
Or the Ricky Van Wolfswinkel Award, I think he can take.
Oh, great one. Let's do that in a bit.
Or the Stephen Naismith Award.
Yeah.
One good game, nothing else.
I did an interview with Stephen Naismith about a year ago. Read that. It's good. Right. Okay, that's enough. I mean, Norwich lost 5-0. Whose was the better goal? Son's second or Kulusevski's second?
Well, just a point on both of those. Yeah. Like,
Tim Krul
great finishes, but like, these are the top players in the Premier League, and people going, "Wow, what an amazing!" It's like it's like a golfer from 80 yards hitting a wedge to just 6 feet away, like John Rahm or Justin Thomas doing that. It's like this is what they do. If you give them the time and space to do that, they will put it in the corner. So, but in answer to your question, Sons.
And I missed Kulusevski's goal because, like most of the second half, I was just on my phone looking at results elsewhere.
Which is fun. Yeah, that was a bit fun. It was fun following all the action elsewhere where things mattered. All right, then. Well, I tell you what, let's move on to a bit of this. Yes, it's picked that one out. Where normally we'd get these guys to have a rant. But before we came on air, we decided we'll all rant it out. So we're not going to bother. Just consider it a bit sort of end of season Norwich City playing Spurs kind of attitude. But it does mean that I can skip forward quickly to my things we are also not going to talk about. So I was just going to rattle through these. There were obviously a few protests about on Sunday, as there have been for a band of fans, quite small, relatively speaking. There were a few dealer out and Weber out chants inside the ground, obviously, which were audible, but didn't really start spreading across the ground or anything like that. It did annoy me when I heard that Adam Eder basically left the ground and got a barrel load of abuse from these protesters who were waiting outside the city's the south stand, along with other supporters, most of them younger, I guess, trying to get autographs and what have you. And then you have Adam Eder, who's been injured since February, is an academy player, has really not. If you were going to shout abuse at someone for their terrible efforts this season, would Adam Eder be the one you're going to just abuse? No. And so, while I get people may have something in their mind and their opinion and they want to protest that, just being obnoxious and shouting abuse at people, what is that? That's just being an idiot. So,
there's a wider thing, Michael, though. Like, I mean, it's happening all across English football with these pitch invasions, and I don't know if it's just because people have been caged in by COVID and it's like some sort of outpouring, but this pitch invasion nonsense is what's going to happen is the FA are going to start bringing in more draconian, and by the way, Norwich City are not a club that are particularly guilty of this. But because we've been nothing
at the moment, yeah.
Exactly. You'd only invade the pitch to try and improve the team.
Yeah. So carry on, Steve.
No, but like, you're going to end up basically with the match day experience becoming. You're going to be treated more harshly, and you're going to be maybe behind a cage or a fence or whatever. And the match day spectacle is going to end up, and the match day experience is going to end up being harmed by these people just being stupid, obnoxious, and idiotic, especially the ones that are assaulting people.
Yeah, I think there's certainly a deeper conversation to be had, but it would involve us getting too deep into politics, and I'll only lose myself. But you have reminded me that that there was a post before, and it is a serious issue. So apologies for making for running a glib thing, but I saw this on a Facebook group, which I don't normally look at, but this one popped up, and it said there's a picture of Carrow Road, and there's a message on there saying running on the pitch has to stop. It's only a matter of time before a fan runs onto the pitch at Carrow Road and wins the Man of the Match award. There we go. What else was on my list? I didn't see the Brandon Williams banner asking him to stay on Sunday, so I think people have been listening to us. I don't know where that banner is now. I've seen someone set fire to their Norwich City shirt, so maybe someone's also set fire to their Brandon Williams
yesterday.
banner.
Sorry, what? Someone set fire to their Norwich City shirt?
Oh, well, yeah.
You saw that yesterday?
No, well, it's on a post somewhere on social media. I have no knowledge of the timestamp, nor do I care. Player of the season. It was won by Teemu Pukki, obviously. It was announced during the week and then presented on the pitch on Sunday. Seemed to be a lot of melting down in the middle of all that, but there we go. Grant Hanley was second, Brandon Williams was third, and Bryony Williams won the Women's Award. So well done to all of them, all hugely deserved. Obviously the lap of appreciation happened for the men's team, which was sad, and maybe we'll get into a conversation about that in a tick.
Well, you tweeted about that because I'm interested to get into that.
Yeah, well, we can do that now. It was sad. I called it one of the saddest things, or most sorry things I'd ever seen at Carrow Road since I was 8 inside the ground, which it was. Someone came back and said, "What about Colchester?" But Colchester was just the 7-1 defeat was just shell shocking. You would go just like, what in God's name has just happened? Whereas this was just, because there was barely anyone there.
It was cringe.
The worst bit came before the lap started, was when the Norwich players were just in the centre circle milling around, waiting for the bigger boys of Spurs to finish their celebrations and clear off, because they were probably worried about getting into a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, that was horrendous. Like they're literally on our turf and they're just standing in the centre circle. Oh,
no more nice. No more nice. No more comfortable.
It's kind of allegorical for the whole season, though, isn't it? It's like everyone else can come and just impose their will at our ground.
Subservient to everyone else.
Yeah, it's little thing, and this shouldn't grab me at all, because it's nonsensical. But every time they've done a lap of appreciation or whatever you want to call it, they've walked out of the tunnel, or they've been near the tunnel, which was always going to happen, and then they've walked round the ground from the City stand, River End, stand Barclay, and back. This time they seem to sort of head out across the city to the south stand, round towards the river end, and I'm thinking, are they actually going to go past the tunnel here to the Barclay, or just bin it off completely? Because I wouldn't have blamed them. Then they sort of kept going, and then got to in front of the Barclay, where they were basically being booed by some people, and then they just sort of had to walk back on themselves. And I don't know, it means nothing, but it was just, the whole thing was just like, bruh, horrible.
They've got to do it. They have to do it, right?
But they do, yeah. I mean, I came out of it thinking, did they have to do it? You know, what was the point? Is it just damaging them? You know, but yeah, you're right. They do have to kind of.
Well, it must have been,
and it's about them giving it to the supporters, isn't it? Rather than
it's the same. It's the same principle as people who criticise Dean Smith or the players or whatever for not coming out and applauding the fans after a 4-0 away defeat, and which, you know, people have different opinions on that, but I still think it's worth doing because it shows an appreciation. That's what the lack of appreciation is, right? It's a mutual thing, but it's mostly the players giving it to the fans.
We're talking about the players giving it to the fans in terms of appreciation. I am very much in the camp that the fans. Well, I think more fans should have stayed behind to give it back to the players in terms of booing. I actually think there should have been. I think genuinely.
Easy to you to say with your champion Celtic banner behind you.
Listen. I'll tell you what. The efforts this season have been nowhere near good enough, and it's not just been a lack of quality. There's been a complete there's been an abdication of responsibility across that football team for pretty much every member, maybe bar a handful. And I think with that in mind, I think any fans that did stay and did boo, and you see the holier than thou people that kind of come out and give it, oh, well, you should support the team, you shouldn't boo them. I think you're well within your rights after a season as embarrassing as this to boo them as they go round the ground and stay there and show your ire. Like, I think that is a perfectly legitimate way to behave. Don't do anything that's like bad in terms of don't hurl abuse or anything like that. But to boo them, to make sure that they know that they've been rubbish, quite right.
I probably know they've been rubbish, to be fair.
Well,
21 points, minus 61 goal difference. I think they're probably
the fans have the right to vent that. Do you disagree? Do you not think the fans have the right to vent that?
I find adults booing incredibly embarrassing. I think as grown-ups, going to someone's face and making a booing noise is just basically weird. I mean, why would you do that? I mean, you could, fine, they've been absolutely rubbish, and you're right, they've lacked effort most of the times.
How would you show it?
But just by leaving, if you want, or just don't turn up.
I'd have to say that the fact that 90% of the home fans weren't in the ground at that point did probably say just as much as the booing as well. But
Timu Pukki should not be part of any group being booed as well.
Yeah, I just think I'm not even sure about the lack of effort point. I think, regardless of how I feel about how bad they've been, I think there's been a lack of quality, a lack of belief, a lack of organisation. But I think these are players who are still trying and as Dan says, know that they're not very good and have had a pretty horrendous time of it. We've criticised them on here, but en masse, I just don't feel it's helpful to hurl more abuse at them when they've just lost a game 5-0. They're still human beings. And, I would say everyone's got the right to do what they want, but I'm not going to turn on them in that way, I don't think.
Fair enough. I still think criticising fans that did show their dissatisfaction is also wrong, because I think you've got the right to do that as a football fan, especially in this circumstance.
Well, it's all opinions, isn't it? Just like it is on the pitch as well. I think the thing that made it the sorriest situation for me is that on the majority of all those people there will be back again in 2 months' time, expecting to all get along. I mean, and all pull in the same direction, and that is going to take.
It only takes the team to start winning, though, Michael. That is all it will take, and it'll feel like times are good again. That's all it needs.
Yeah, hopefully so. Hopefully so. But the other thing I wanted to mention was the women's lap of appreciation. Now I'll take a deep breath, because I've been sitting on this since the moment it happened before the game on Sunday, and actually really, this annoyed me more than anything I saw the men's team do on Sunday, if I'm brutally honest, because I've seen all that before. Someone came up to me at halftime of the game and said, that was embarrassing, wasn't it? And I was like, to be honest, that's pretty much what I've seen for weeks. There wasn't any better or worse than anything else I've seen. But this really annoyed me, because the idea was that the women's team would get their own lap of appreciation as well. Men's team would do a lap of appreciation at the end. Women's team would do one before the game. Brilliant. Great recognition. The women's team were a part of the club. Give them that to however many people in Carrow. It doesn't matter, but that would be lovely. So it's all built up really nicely. It's about 2:30. The guy begins to announce them over the PA, and then just it sort of says, and Norwich, halfway through the introduction, his mic cuts out. Now that might be completely unavoidable and inescapable, and it might just be that the tech just stopped. I don't know, but he didn't actually get to introduce them. So then the women are left to walk around from the sort of corner of the family stand to do their lap of appreciation. So they're just sort of left to come out. So they walk out and no one really knows they've come out because the rest of the message has stopped. So they're just sort of there walking. And then a few people realize, so there's the sort of start of the applauding, but no one, if you wouldn't know, you wouldn't really know what they've done, why they're there or what they are. And then obviously it's 2:30. So presumably they normally read out the first teams that are playing in the game then, and they remind everyone of the team. So then they just start reading out the teams when the women are sort of about a tenth of the way through their lap and only just getting acknowledged. So everyone then ignores them for the rest of the walk pretty much because they're reading out the teams, which presumably has to happen at this point rather than allowing the stadium to acknowledge what they're doing.
Here's another one for you, Michael, as well. I've just been on the Norwich City website, right, to see how the women's team are doing. The last update was for a game at March the 13th, and the rest of the season fixture results have not been filled in.
Okay, well,
which is very, very poor.
I don't really want to get into what.
And just to get into it, just to add another layer to, they're doing a lap of appreciation around a pitch that the club never let them play on as well. I mean, they have made strides this season with the Norwich City women's side. The club have definitely made strides with that. But yeah, they are very much classed as sort of second-class citizens at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah, and so what I'm not going to make this out is I don't want this to be a kicking. I don't want it to be a kicking of them because that's not the point. And I know that they want to play a game at Carrow Road, and the women and the club want them to play there, and they'll pick their moments. You do have to appreciate they get 100, 200 people on a really big occasion when they play at the Nest. So I understand that getting them to a point where they can do that and they're picking and choosing the right moments for that. It's all great. I know people are trying to work on it. But the thing that really did get me is that they've done this. They've made out there's going to be this lap of appreciation, and it just got ditched. And the players were left to walk around the pitch without anyone really noticing. And I just thought they deserved so much better than that. And it really, really riled me. Maybe it shouldn't have done, but it was the right intention, but they just didn't.
It's a missed opportunity, isn't it, as well? I think, for some real recognition and for more people to start going along and to some people might not even realise that Norwich City have a women's team in the crowd, and maybe they still don't after that. So it's a shame.
I just felt they deserved a bit better than that. What I would like to think is that people sat back and thought, oh yeah, that wasn't very good, was it? Let's make sure we do that better next time. So that would be my sentiment to pass on. Yeah. And have we covered off the laps of appreciation there? We're all done.
I think pretty comprehensively.
I feel better now.
And the abdication of the women's team.
Cool. Right, the retained list. Lucas Rupp has left the club. It was lovely chatting to him when I did an interview with him as well. That's on the Athletic. Give that away. So that's grand. I don't think there were any surprises of anyone else who was leaving. No, everyone. Yeah. No. That's it, I think. But yeah, Todd Cantwell is back because Bournemouth haven't taken their option up, so he will be remain a Norwich player. Do I think he will be playing in all of Norwich's pre-season games? I would be surprised. I can see him being loaned out or playing somewhere else next year. But next season, we will see.
What do you think is a realistic fee for him now? 5 million?
A loan fee, I imagine, is a realistic fee. It depends where he wants to go and who wants him, like with any of them, really, doesn't it?
Or I can already see him joining Alex Pritchard and Patrick Roberts under Alec Neil at Sunderland.
Beautiful. Yeah, that's a good move for him, I think.
Will be. Congratulations, Alec Neil and Alex Pritchard. I did an interview with Pritch. Read that on there, 30.
Wow,
I did an interview with Alec Neil.
Basically, if you do an interview with me, you and yeah, in fairness, Stu did like a 5-hour proper deep dive with Alec Neil. So yeah,
2.5.
Is that everything? I think that's all good.
One little thing, if I may.
Yes, please.
Just one thing I've been clinging on to all season is Watford being as bad as us. And they did only finish, 1 point ahead of us. And us having the moral high ground because they just sack their managers, have no sort of long-term system in place. And yet here they are appointing a manager from League Two, briefly former Norwich player, and Rob Edwards, young up-and-coming manager. Exactly the kind of thing that Norwich City have got a reputation for doing. So now I can't even look down on Watford. Now even they're ahead of us.
He'll be gone by November, Dan.
By the way, did you notice how Forest Green and like their very green initiative sort of board and stuff? Did you notice how stuffy they were about his departure?
They didn't like it.
They did not like it. Like they put out this proper, don't know, with Watershed, not yet. ASY mess, ARSEY.
Yes, message. I quite enjoyed that actually because it seems like that Rob Edwards was approached without any consent from Forest Green at all.
It was quite uncommon.
It wasn't polite, was it?
No, and it was different. Like it was interesting anyway because it's not often a club will do that, even if they have been sort of done over in that way.
No more nice, no more happy, no more comfortable. Right. Well, any messages, Steve? Has anyone said anything? Have I been banned for my Norwich City women's rant? Have we got?
No, I think. I mean, God knows.
Thanks for all your messages. It's obviously what we're saying.
Thanks for all your messages. And yeah, I mean, what was worse than the 2008? What was this worse than the 2008-2009 season? Fair question.
That is a good question. So I'd only just started working as a journalist then, so I was sort of in and out of that. So I just remember it being just hilariously bad, really, and a complete mishmash of temporary players. So probably far worse.
We did sign Wes though.
We did, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll still be saying that about Canaries Malou.
Cholis.
In 10 years' time, Cholis.
Josh Sargent. The new Wes Houlihan.
Wes Malou.
Oh yeah, there's that question. So, where's Malou? Oh, that's a good. Maybe we can find new puns of a mixture of play, mix and matching two Norwich players. Pierre, where's Malou? Huh?
No, it could also be a question. Where's Wes the new?
That's Scottish. We're still getting over rolling slice.
Roland slice, Michael. Also, on that note, Stephen Stibbins says, "Can't well to Celtic." No, thank you.
Wow.
Can't well to Rangers?
Yeah.
If you want. He's basically just like a sort of kind of Ryan Kentish player. So
Celtic never stop either, and I feel like Todd has stopped once or twice this season. So
Dave Bowers says, "What are your feelings on fine margins nowadays?" I don't know.
That's a great question.
But I mean, pink dressing. Remember having a pink dressing room?
We don't have fine margins. We have a chasm that we have to try and let somersault over without. What do you call a pole vaulter's stick?
A pole?
A pole. Right, so
the action of vault?
I reckon even if you had the biggest pole in the world, you could not vault over the chasm that Norwich City are trying to cross, trying to compete in the Premier League. That was a very, very, very badly delivered idea.
Maybe there's a pod next season for fine margins when we're competing for promotion, but I don't. The margins have not been fine this season. They have been huge.
They've not been fine. Right. I think we are. Let's. Okay. Let's. Thanks for keep your comments coming in, especially as we now head to the next bit. We're going to no. I'm going to play the halftime sting. Here's the halftime sting. Purely because I like the music. Probably a frustrated radio DJ when I think about it. The idea of talking over music is a rare pleasure. And this is one of the few times I get to share in that.
Can you do your best radio DJ voice, Michael? I want to hear your radio DJ voice.
That was it, Stu. How did you not notice?
No, you're not got to do the hi there. You're listening to Michael on his podcast. Can I vibe?
No, but I'm going to get you to do it next time. Okay, and obviously the bit of editorial workings that I will need to sort out come next season. Let's have our sting for centrefold. Absolutely seamless, this podcast. Right. Centrefold, for the final time this season, it is our time for our alternative end of season awards. Now, we're going to go through them all. Get your nominations in too. You might want to just put an abbreviation of what the award is you're nominating and then who or what, so that we know which one, because we will lose track. And we'll try and come up with some definitive answers as we go through. Have a think, the more the merrier, and we'll do our best to cover them all off. And I think we're going to be led initially by the Premier League's tweet earlier today, which is obviously a choice piece of engagement. So we'll go through those awards initially, which started off with Player of the Season. So that's not going to take long, is it, everyone?
Okay.
Yeah, I think we're pretty sure we discussed this one for
TV for Sky.
For a long time.
It's I loaded onto my Xbox because my girlfriend pays for a Sky Sports subscription and I get to use that. So Player of the Season's TV for Sky player on my Xbox.
I think Pookie still wins by 2-1 though. So
there was a moment, Stu, where I just assumed you were having a phone call with someone else. And I wasn't really sure what was going on. Okay, most improved Player of the Season.
I mean, this is tough.
More for.
What?
More for.
Sinani's done well at Huddersfield, hasn't he? He seems to have improved leaps and bounds.
Yes, that's a great shout.
I've put Adam Eder, but improved and abused as it turns out. But I think maybe he's the best of a slightly bad bunch.
I mean, Anel Hernandez seems to have come back a much improved player in most people's eyes. Good, obviously. Not really seen him play. So but that would be good.
Of recency bias, I think.
As if that exists, Stu. What have we got here? Susanna George. Hey, Susanna, friend of the show. Alternative award for outstanding debut performance, the Blackbird.
Good shout.
Can't remember which game that was now.
Yeah, it was Chelsea. I had the Blackbird down as best cameo of the season. But Susanna's award is better.
Trumped you, but double award for the Blackbird. It's already beating everyone else. Andy Tickner said McGovern, which I'm guessing is for Player of the Season. See, you want to know why the vote wasn't publicised for a really long time? So that's exactly why, Andy. Right, sorry, Paul Stanley just commenting the best thing I've heard for a very long time. What do you call a pole vaulter stick? I mean, I think we've peaked. We've literally peaked.
Mensa are going to be knocking on my door tomorrow.
Nick Deal with the most improved. Angus Gunn was much better in his game time this season than we was here for Farker's last championship season.
Yep, that's fair.
Ooh. Yeah, do you think? I mean,
certainly better than when he was at Southampton anyway.
I think that's definitely a good shout. And it's been a good year of rebuilding for Angus, definitely in terms of that, because that's kind of why he came to Norwich as well.
Number one next season, do we think?
Well, I think the fact that we're even having that question is testament to the fact that he's had a fairly decent season. So
Steve nails it there. Most regressed player? Regress. I refer you to my Christos Jolis comment earlier in the podcast.
But we had no. I mean, it has to be Todd, in my opinion. Like, if we're going on what they produced last season, I think I've defended Gibson, but he's probably not had as good a season as we would have hoped for. But I think for Todd to go to kind of from linchpin to literally we won one game. No, we didn't lose one game that he played all season. That was when he got hauled off at half time. I would have to say Todd.
I was going to have Ben Gibson as worst player of the season, actually.
Really?
Players have been worse, but there's mitigating circumstances around, say, Chollis, haven't seen him.
That would be unfair.
Billy Gilmore, first full season in professional football. Ben Gibson is a guy who's played a lot of football in his career, was brought in as a Premier League centre-back as well when we bought him, and has not been good enough for the Premier League. But we'll be excellent again next season in the Championship.
Norwich's record with Ben has been good, though.
Well, if you're calling him by his first name, Michael, I feel like I might have offended you.
True. Just couldn't be bothered to say both names. NCFC Live says Max Aaron's most regressed.
A few shouts for him.
Woodrow agrees. I mean, there's an element of where the regression started, I suppose, if we want to get to the technicalities of it.
And someone has said Matthias Norman, and I think over the course of the season, that's probably a fair argument as well. He did not look good yesterday.
There's Gingis' comment as well, which I didn't actually mean to put up, but I have because we're getting so many comments.
Did you not mean to put that up, Michael?
No, it's skipped forward.
The one agreeing with you.
I hadn't even read it. That was the one I meant.
You've done him there, Michael. You've done him.
Gingis also put Norman most regressed. Sorry, go on, Stu.
I was just going to say, I like Jack Norwich's comment where he says, "Can football identity win most regressed?" I think that's that kind of hits the nail on the head for where I think it's gone wrong this season, because I think it's easy to pinpoint individuals and say this person's gone backwards or whatever, or this person's done their bit, or you can kind of go through them and do that. But what's happened is, as a football club, and I made this point last time I was on the pod, there's just been no cohesion at all from top to bottom, from the recruitment to the playing to the connection between the fans and those that are inside the club. I just think this season the football identity, and to some extent the club's identity, has regressed this season. And I think that there's less a semblance of what Norwich City Football Club is at this point in time than there was 12 months ago, by a big margin.
Stuart Webber gets the award then, I guess.
Stuart Webber and anybody in charge, to be honest.
There we go. Progressed Stuart Webber. Well done, Stuart.
Paul Frakes says... sorry, Dan. Go on.
No, go on, Michael.
Oh, no, I was just going to read out Paul Frakes' comment, which was that Pajeta was the Pole who needed a stick.
Dave Bowles got a good one. Said most regressed communication with the local press. I think that's a really, really good point.
Dan, what were you going to say?
Michael on that I was going to say... Jay Crick 12 says Max would be a lot better in a better side, which I absolutely agree with. I think he is an excellent footballer, and we've been very lucky to have him at
time for the kid to move on. He's not going to go anywhere at this football.
I would like him to get a good move.
Would be good for him, certainly. Nick Deal says, not sure he's regressed most on the pitch, but his value has probably regressed the most. But then I think Norwich have also accepted that. League coach Tim Krul got worse as the season went on. Lots of people enjoying the opportunity to say who has regressed the most, which does probably sum up where these awards are heading. Let's move on to Unsung Hero.
I've given this one to the boy who flicked the V's at Ronaldo.
Absolutely.
River End. He takes it.
Should we call that one off now?
Well, had a couple.
Oh yes, please, Dan. Oh, actually,
Liam Gibbs.
You had more than. Oh, sorry, Liam Gibbs.
Liam Gibbs, the youngster who we signed from Ipswich, which created a little bit of bragging rights at the start of the season. So thank you, Liam. I think he played once for us, twice maybe.
I don't think he's made his debut.
He's not playing the League Cup. Maybe I've made it up. And also Alex McCarthy for chucking in 2 goals when we played Southampton at home in Dean Smith's first game to give us one very rare victory this season.
That sums up everything that is bad about football, doesn't it, really? That someone can chuck in 2 stupid goals like that, and all of a sudden it's like, wow, look at all the great pressing, and look at the way this was done. Look at that. Everything is in the prism of the fact that they scored 2 goals.
I'm pretty sure this pod was saying that at that point.
Well, that's we're all aware of it. We're all aware of it.
We just
you can't only
that's the Mourinho approach, isn't it, to football? Make fewer mistakes than the other side, and you'll win the game.
God,
which definitely was not our approach this season.
Jesus, imagine that logic. Did you have another one? Did you say, Steve? For that?
No. Boy with the V's. Although
boy with the V's.
McCarthy as well.
Gets my vote. Stu?
What they said. Like, I'll just. I mean, there's no heroes.
There are no heroes. We have. I mean, I've then been contrary and put a sung hero, but I don't. Even know
it's got to be Pookie again. It's
got to be Pookie. Teemu Pukki and Grant Hanley are the 2 that I think can come out of this season with some semblance of credit.
I think Sam Barham as well. Someone's mentioned him in the comments. I just think coming back from 2 years out with injury and playing a role in all 3 positions across the back foot. And
by the way, what is that? What is that centre back thing?
Yeah,
the guy's been a fullback all his days, and then we want to shoehorn him in at centre back when you've got a youngster in Andrew Omobamidele that's screaming out for game time. Come on,
he's injured, isn't he? Omobamidele has been all season, pretty much.
He's screaming out, but that's just in pain.
Screaming out. In pain,
well, what it did is probably back Dan's argument earlier, because Dean Smith clearly didn't want to play Ben Gibson and he wanted to play Sam Byram as a centre back. So doesn't matter what I think. Dan, Dean Smith probably does agree with you. Susanna back in with the unsung hero shout. Paul Warren, love a bit of that. See you next year, Paul.
I think I saw him on Friday night, if he's in Norwich, at a restaurant in Norwich with which seemed to be his family. Yeah, having a lovely time. And when he walked off, when he left, he did the classic managerial thing of just waving to everyone like he was leaving the stadium, waving to all the staff in there.
Did you do a lap of appreciation?
Yeah.
Did Rotherham win League One?
No. Second, I think, but they've gone up. Yeah,
Wigan did. Dave Bowers gives Watford a vote for making Norwich look less dreadful. I mean, it's probably a niche vote. Lee Coates fans going to the games, which they did indeed do that.
Fair play. I didn't go to a Norwich City game this season, so every one of you out there that has been doing that, fair play to you, because that has been a horrible way to spend a Saturday.
Isn't it in our contracts we have to go to every game to be a pundit on here?
I'm not under. I just know rubbish, mate.
At your own expense as well. Jay Crick, Williams gets credit from me, never stop trying, unlike the other loan players, he says.
It's a more expensive trip for me, to be fair, Dan.
I don't think
a little, yeah.
Tamu gets unsung hero. I'm happy with that one. Signing of the season?
Again, tough one this, but I've gone for the Soccerbot 360. I think the role that has played cannot be overlooked in our season. Really great investment that has turned out to be.
Wow. It's just one of those delayed reaction things. You know, it'll come good in a few years, I'm sure.
Whoever signed the contract with BK8, another great signing for the season.
Well, I was going to argue you could say Lotus was, because that actually bailed them out of it. But maybe your shout is probably
Liam Gibbs again from Ipswich. Can cover that one.
Yeah. Just to show how rogue I'm going tonight, Tim Claxton says unsung hero. Me.
Again, it's the Michael Praise tweets.
That is a damning indictment of everyone else, really, is what I would say. That
my signing of the season, I'm just going to be as self-indulgent as you there, Michael. I'm going to go with I signed the contract on my first ever property. So,
there he is.
There we go.
He's home. Wow. The viewers are plummeting. Harry here, I hope he is. Who won the Lotus car? Oh, that wasn't the one I was going to post. They're obviously moving too quick for me. Harry, I have no idea. Who won the Lotus car? I don't know. Good question, though. But I've got nothing else to do in the summer, so I might try and track that down. Write 4,000 words on it. Macaulay Jarvis, Crest Lion for unsung hero. Macaulay, do you mean
the new one?
The new one, or the ghost? I presume
the ghost. That needs clarifying.
One.
Yes, please, Macaulay. I think I'm going to say he means the new one.
That's a fantastic name you're rocking there, Macaulay. Macaulay Jarvis. Do you play guitar? It's a rock star's name.
Christopher Woods come in with an award suggestion. High point of the season. Scaling Kilimanjaro.
Well, maybe not if he's when's his Everest one and when does the season end? Because he might be able to.
Is that higher? Yeah.
Yeah.
If you go to the Summit Foundation, you can find out what his training regime is. So he's got a few different climbs coming up over the next 12 months. I think Everest is planned for the next 2 years.
Okay, thanks.
So there we go. That's
part of me wonders if this is part of some big commercial deal with the Windows company. You know what I mean? It says an attempt to get Norwich City some sort of big commercial money in the coffers. Everest is a Windows firm. Never mind.
You know. We can hope.
I do say the best strikes are the ones you have to explain.
Mate, my strike rate tonight is akin to any Norwich City striker not finished descent.
They also say the best jokes involve puns about windows. I think they love those jokes.
Right, where were we? I did signing of the seasons. I think we covered that off. A recruitment failure of the season.
Everything totality.
Yeah, all of it.
The recruitment team.
The recruitment failure of the season is the winner of that award.
The season of the failure of recruitment is more apt.
Okay, goal of the season. Scored and conceded.
Well, as a genuine answer, I think Timu Pukki against Newcastle was my favourite one.
I forgot about that.
Thoroughly, like in terms of properly celebrating a goal, one that felt like it really mattered, and at the end of a really bad performance, where we somehow managed to get something out of it, and also just what a great strike. I still feel like there's an element of fluke about the Sargent one against Watford, but I do love the Timu one.
You've got to stick your leg out to school, though, haven't you, with Sargent?
Also,
but Sargent's other goal, great header, and we do not score many great headers, not since the days of Grant Holt.
I like that goal better.
Yeah, I like that.
Interesting point. Yeah, I would probably go with Sargent's goal because I was really annoyed about the Pukki. Well, I wasn't really annoyed. It was a great goal, but it was kind of like, you've been slogging against 10 men for so long. How are we this happy you've just equalised? Because you should be winning this game. So, whereas I suppose the Sargent header was like, 2 wins out of 2. Josh Sargent scored a brace. What is going on? So I did see some people that were a little bit upset that Josh Sargent's what I can only describe as weird goal wasn't in the goal of the season list on Match of the Day. Where, let's be honest, if you thought that was going to be in the shortlist, you were incredibly deluded.
How's that Mane one in there, like against us? Where
likewise.
Away from goal, standing between the posts. It's like how you hardly missed that.
And then Angus, bless him, did just sort of fall in the goal. But I got stick for saying that he should have saved that last time, so I'm not going to do that again. Jay Crick says Sargent's first goal at Watford, no doubt. So you see, I might be out on my own then. Norman versus Brentford.
Yeah,
good shout. That was a good goal. I mean,
Rooney
there haven't been many, so any goal's a good goal.
That Man United goal that Rooney scored against City, shinned it, and everybody thought that was brilliant. So does it just depend what team you play for, how people view it?
Probably.
I mean, Stephen Stibbins does say, if we have a minute, should we just go through all the goals? It would literally take a minute. Probably. People ask how this season's gone. One Piece involved me writing and describing all 8 of Norwich's away goals at one point to ascertain which was the best by some made-up analytics score.
What did you use? The Duckworth-Lewis method or something to try and...
It was just as sensical, I think. Jack Norwich has Adam Eder versus Everton. That was a good one. Yeah. And also Pukki's at home to Palace, because that was a lightning start.
Yeah.
So many good moments. How have we forgotten about all these great moments? Best, wasn't that bad. Best goal of the season conceded.
Worst.
Emotionally, sorry, Steve, you go.
Well, I think you might be about to say the same as me, Dan. But I think in terms of the worst one that I think we conceded was the Leeds Joe Gelhardt one, which was both. Well, it had all the hallmarks of a terrible one. Terrible goal conceded in that we just scored one ourselves to seemingly snatch a point. It was right at the end of the game, and it also it was really horrendously defended. I think Ben Gibson was involved in that as well. He's not coming out of this podcast well. But Dan, you were actually at that match, so you can probably...
Yeah, that was the goal I was going to say emotionally, especially... I mean, there was still a chance then, wasn't there? We felt a result at Leeds, and they were awful as well. We felt if we got a result there, then maybe there was a chance of putting a late run together. But from the jubilation of scoring an equaliser very late on, was it 89th minute, to then conceding a winner in the 93rd minute. Yeah, I don't think it gets much worse than that. Against a relegation rival who we've, of course, had a few battles with over the last few years as well.
They've become a kind of sort of, I mean, in the absence of Ipswich, obviously being away down in the doldrums, they've kind of been a sort of rival, haven't they? Have they been like the most... What?
Stu, sorry, not an answer to the question, but you owe me a £5 because...
I was just about to come on to that, Steve.
God, now I look like a real... Yeah.
We're all having a go tonight, aren't we? Self-praise, claiming our bets.
I'll tell you what, see how much you dismissed the idea Leeds going down. No, not going to happen. And it nearly bloody did, mate.
I almost feel bad for taking it off you, but I love taking money off you, so I'm still gonna have it. Thanks.
Well,
I digress.
Scotland gives all its money to England. Story of a lifetime, innit?
We should say, obviously, Burnley are joining us in the Championship next season, which is exciting.
It's a strong league, by the way. Have you?
I am already. What is?
No, it's
The
not. Not if you watch Luton and Huddersfield this season, it is not a strong league.
There is a lot of there's a lot of big teams in that division.
Doesn't make it strong though. Traditionally, big sides don't mean they're going to do well, are they?
What I was going to say is, I reckon you could. I would be tempted to put money on both Leeds and Brentford going down next season already.
Brentford definitely.
Brentford lose Ericsson.
There is no way Christian Eriksen is staying at Brentford next year.
He's also Brentford are just. But Brentford that's going to be second season syndrome, isn't
it? Every third podcast we write Brentford off.
They were on a horrific run before Eriksen joined as well, weren't they?
Yeah, that's true. They were. Yeah.
And then one at Norwich.
Yeah. What else we got here? NCFC Norwich Sargent's involvement in the Michael Keane goal. I mean, that was great. Norwich scoring or being given 2 own goals in exactly the same manner in the space of 2 games. So that's grand. Elliot Waterfield. Not a great goal, he says, but Omar Bamidele against Leeds is my left field shout for goal of the season. It is also, so Norwich only scored 3 goals from set pieces all season. That's in a piece on The Athletic. Go read it. It's a great stats piece. It was so much fun to write. That was the only one they scored under Daniel Farker. And the other one was Hanley, I think, against Southampton in Smith's first game. And then Pierre Wes-Malou against Burnley. But that was
scored one in the FA Cup, didn't we, as well? Kenny's header against Wolves.
Free kick. Yeah, well, we all know the FA Cup doesn't count in the Premier League. Okay, best game, worst game. I think these awards have been dragging out, really. I didn't think it'd go on this long, so we've done quite well.
Best game, Watford away.
Yeah. Obs.
Worst game.
You could take a pick from a litany of embarrassments.
Watford at home 3-1. Chelsea away 7-0. West Ham at home 4-0.
Chelsea was the worst. Chelsea was the worst.
Best game. Got to be Watford, hasn't it? Or Everton at home as well. That was fun to get them sacks. But worst game, Leeds home defeat, when it really was very clear that all of Daniel Farker's great work had been eroded by himself and others at the club. Obviously, that was a depressing moment to have no identity. And also the draw at St James's Park when Newcastle were down 10 men for 80 minutes, and we only got a late draw out of that.
Yeah, that was horrible because there was an expectation in that game. We didn't have in any other match that season. And
that game in many ways felt like the one where you just thought, nah. No, I mean,
I mean, that's pretty much every game actually this season.
You've got to win that game. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I will throw in. So, got worst goals conceded could be any of the 3 against Watford at Carrow Road. The worst game is definitely the 3-1 Watford defeat at home. I was angry after that because there was so much.
Go back and watch Michael's post-game analysis of that.
That was the point at which you've been giving them leeway and everything was building to these lessons. And I can say it confidently now, and I felt it confidently at the time. 5 games in, they learned jack shit. And that was basically where we ended. And it was so obvious because they just were so careless. And that was the point at which you just knew it was just going to unravel. What if moment of the season, just coming back to what you were saying about the Newcastle game, Pierre Wes-Malou's chance last minute scores that. Norwich have won their first 3 games under Dean Smith. They've taken 2 points off Newcastle. They then would have been whatever the next game was. I don't know what it was, but it was
drew with Wolves next, did we?
I think we did draw.
It was Southampton, Wolves, then Newcastle. Then it might have been Spurs away.
I'm still going to maintain that Chelsea was the worst game of the season. Like, I wasn't at I've been at no games, but great Norwich fan, me. But I like that. I think that Chelsea game, Romelu Lukaku was out, Timo Werner was out, and they scored 7 bloody goals.
I suppose the thing with that one is you expect 1 or 2 absolute hammerings. Like we in every Premier League season, even when we were doing well under Lambert and when we stayed up under Houghton, we got hammered, usually by Liverpool and Suarez.
But the thing
you kind of just sort of water off the duck's back a little bit as appalling as it was.
I get that, but the fact that the manager before the game basically said we've got no chance of winning, and then you go out and get gubbed 7-0, you're just like, what's the point in supporting the fit, like turning up? Like, is there a point in the fans turning up if the team isn't turning up? No.
That was a very frustrating thing about Farke, is he basically said that before every game in the Premier League, didn't he?
I mean, in fairness, Chelsea did have Kai Havertz up top, and he has proven to be quite handy at that role. Maybe we didn't give them enough credit for that at the time, but certainly giving them 7 goals worth of credit was probably a little bit excessive. Jingus, best game was Bournemouth at home. I mean, obviously, because I think that was probably about a third of Norwich's goals quota.
That was great fun, actually, that game. Yeah,
one of the ones I missed, that one.
See, it's all your fault.
Can I pick up on Ted Moore's point, Michael?
But you can indeed.
Click it up, or do you want me to bring it up? Oh, I can't bring it up. I've not got that power. So I think you've written quite a bit about this, Michael. Farke was involved in the summer recruitment, wasn't he? Like he was part of the discussions with Stuart Webber and with the recruitment team and whoever's on that executive committee now that ratify these things. Farke was, all of the players were players that Farke was happy to have coming in.
Oh, well, yeah.
Is that correct?
He had a veto. Norwich couldn't sign anyone he didn't want.
So there we go. So just to correct Ted on that sort of thing.
Probably best you want to read out Ted's message.
Yes, sorry.
As a podcast. Sorry.
It says good point. Farke had to compromise his principles to try and squeeze something out of the terrible recruitment. Wrong to say he lost it, as proven by Smith's inability to stop the drop. Which, I mean, there is certainly a point there that both head coaches struggled to get enough out of the group of players.
Well, that's it. But also what it says is by putting all of your sort of money into the summer recruitment, and I've said before that the one move, if you could have found a buyer, was to try and shift Max Aarons on in January and then reinforce in forward areas to try and make us more of a goal threat. It does seem like essentially you by bringing Dean Smith in, not obviously having funds to back him in January, you're essentially giving up in the season by the time you sack Daniel Farke. Is that true? I suppose
both things can be true as well, can't they? Our recruitment was absolutely dreadful, but it's also true that Farke had moved away from his original principles, and he was sort of doing that slowly throughout the championship season. When we won it, we would definitely go into a more solid base.
I mean, the thing probably to say about the recruitment was, I get the impression that although Daniel Farke had a veto and Norwich didn't sign anyone he didn't want, they also weren't necessarily the players he wanted initially, and he had to work down a list. And I get the impression that if you'd asked him at the start of the summer what he wanted, it wouldn't have been what he got by the end of it. So, those plans change because targets change and things like that. Paul Frake says that his best game was Gillingham in the pre-season friendly. Sorry. You're right, Simon, I was angry. Susanna George, Chelsea was vile, especially given the early kickoff. Oh, yeah, that was a Saturday, wasn't it? First thing Saturday. BT Sport.
Jay Crick's got a great what if. He says, what if Christos Jolis scored the penalty against Liverpool?
Yeah,
does that mean he actually appears in games sometimes?
Well, he played well in that game up until the penalty as well. That's the thing. And also in his appearance, and the Bournemouth game before that and things. So
I think all the sliding doors moments do have to be met with a little asterisk, though, that we ended up 16 points adrift in the end.
Have you worked out, Steve, what the biggest chasm is between fourth from bottom and bottom?
I haven't. I mean, it's got to be Derby, right?
Just for a bit of fun.
I mean, that in my book is a bit of fun. Yeah. I'm slightly annoyed at how bad Derby were, because it means that we haven't been the worst.
We weren't even more points than last time, haven't we?
We're not even the best at being worst. It's
Their goal difference was 8 worse than us, and I looked at that and I thought, oh my god, they must have been colossally awful.
11 points. I mean, I think that might be all of them. There are some other titles that I've got here, but I'm going to write a bit on the Athletic on those. So
my other cameo of the season award was you appearing, Michael, in the Dean Smith unveiling video, which was obviously a real. That was a big boon for the On the Ball podcast, I think.
That's true. Yeah.
Good.
I'm glad I got that tattoo done. I think I became a meme very briefly off the back of that. Well, I'm sure someone was just, I don't know, they were just sharing my picture somewhere, I think. I don't know. It's not like I pay attention to it, but there we go.
You do really, though. Little bit.
Well, if I get tagged in it, I can't really avoid it. But yeah. There we go. Right. I think, is that all the awards season? Can we now declare this award ceremony officially over and never
it's longer than the Oscars? That was
never speak of any of this again? Is that?
Yeah.
I mean, we
draw a
will,
line
won't we?
under it.
Okay. Well, yes. I mean, it is the last pod of the season, so that's why I'm being a bit forgiving with the time. I don't think we're going to stick to my half-an-hour deadline, boys.
No, and I'm just about to come out with another pointless grenade. So the Oscars, like they call it the Academy, right? But like, is our Academy still producing like talent worthy of the first team at this point? Aye. Yeah, no. Few young players kicking a bit.
I need to keep these for my summer podcast.
What do you think? By the way, there's been no mention of Tony Springett. That's been a wee bit of joy.
Oh, well, where do you want to file him?
Steve revealing that Tony Springett's middle name is Gary is probably my favourite moment of the season. On this podcast.
Great shout.
His parents must, you'd think, love men behaving badly, because there's no other reason other than naming their son after the two title characters in Men Behaving Badly would you call your son Tony Gary.
When was he born? Like what? Probably 2003. By which time I'm pretty sure that program.
Yeah, but the parents would have been well aware of Men Behaving Badly.
Well, he has been doing some naughty things in the pitch. He looks a talent.
Yeah, that's
it's interesting with
give them time.
It's
with
a bit
wingers,
of positivity.
they always look impressive, don't they? Because they can do a few tricks and beat a few players. So it's always really hard to judge wingers on how good they actually are.
I mean,
hopefully both excellent.
I've seen Robert Eagle come into a playing team and look quite good, so I'm reserving judgment.
Ryan Jarvis.
Yeah.
I think there's just a cool down. For once, I was actually trying to be positive.
But as I think,
it's just been completely doused.
As I think you wrote, Michael, they came through sort of Greg Broughton's academy in London. Is that right? So that had been set up, and players who have been brought through academies by Greg Broughton, i.e. Jamal Lewis, Ben Godfrey, and Max Aarons, tend to be quite good. So there's hope there.
Indeed. As Susanna says, who better to help us spring it back to the Prem? They are the kind of puns we need. Stu and Dan, I need your middle names in honor of Tony. So what are they? Dan, what's your middle name? Or several?
John,
good.
After my dad.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't know anyone called John, but that is my middle name too.
Oh, right. Stu? Excellent.
Stuart Ross Hodge.
Ross. That strikes me as a good Scottish name.
It's also the tartan that I wear. It's my dad's mum's maiden name, and it's the only kind of, because Hodge is obviously disgustingly English as a surname. So I've got to go with that for if I'm wearing my tartan. It's a nice kind of green and blue plaid.
Sorry, can I just before Steve gives his answer, can I ask you, Stuart, if you'd rather be Stuart McHodge? Stuart Hodge.
Wow. I'd remove the H.
Offensive?
I don't know.
It's probably offensive to a lot of people, but I know Dan well enough. It's fine. I'd remove the H and I'd go with McHodge.
Oh,
McHodge. What, capital O? Capital O, D-G-E.
McHodge. That sounds like a
double C, like McHodge.
McHodge.
Sounds like a type of cauliflower, that does.
Michael's gone. I've been trying to get Michael to do that in these pods.
You can't say that.
Aye, McHodge, like a kind of old codger, which I will be eventually. Aye, McHodge.
Okay. I'm still calling it a rolling slice.
We'll get rid of the Stuart and it'll just be Ross McHodge. Right? If I ever become an actor and change my name with Equity, the Actors Union, which I think you can do. It's not like a deed poll. You can give yourself a stage name, Ross McHodge.
Right.
You'd have got a part in Monica the Glen with a name like that.
I think
what a more up-to-date reference. Yes.
Okay. I'm sensing that bit where people have repeatedly told me for the past 48 hours you need a break. I think I'm sensing the manifestation of that.
That's
scenario.
just the length of how long this podcast has been going on.
or Stuart's McHodge, who knows? We did Steve's middle name in the last pod, didn't we?
Oh,
Steve?
we
did
give
indeed.
us again.
It is Dodd, D-O-D-D, as in Ken. It's my mum's surname. Stuart already knows this. Stephen Dodd Sanders.
Which is beautiful. Paul Frake says, Hodgie reminds me of Trevor Hockey, which is a great reference to your
I
beard.
don't know who that is. Who's Trevor Hockey?
He's a former Norwich player with magnificent hair.
Stunning beard.
Right, that's getting Googled.
Noble Six says, looking forward to Norwich coming to the Den next season, lads. Yeah, I think that's a thumbs up. That's exciting. And there we go. Henry Furman, as in Ralph, maybe. This season was just another tale of row.
Oh, nice.
There's a nice positive one to end on there. Comment.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
No, there is a nice positive one there from NCFC Live.
Oh, there is one. Oh, sorry. Quick. On a positive note, Jolis, Sargent, Rowe, Ida, Omobama, Dele, Mumba, McCallum, Gibbs. That's a lot of players, all in a league where they can actually develop properly. The future is definitely bright with the right recruits. Thank you, NCFC.
It's a hell of a caveat to end with there, isn't it?
By the way, Trevor Hockey, what a guy. Played outside right, over 600 league appearances, caps for Wales, and manager at one point of Staley Bridge Celtic. We never
brought Celtic back into it again.
We never stop.
We never stop.
And
I'm living up to that mantra. Can I say, by the way, Paul, at that, given the ridiculousness of my beard, was a very good looky-likey doppelganger. So well done.
Right. Thank you for our magnificent awards. I can't ever promise we'll manage that level of awards in future years, if we ever get around to doing another one. But I think that was truly magnificent and probably the best thing that's happened all season. Let's move on, shall we, to This Is Almost Fantasy Football.
This is almost fantasy football.
Thank you, John, a.k.a. Motson, a.k.a. Motti. Time to look ahead and paint a picture of what we expect to see from Norwich City over the coming, not 7 days, an entire summer, although it's May, so it's not actually even the summer yet. But you know what I mean. All I really want is one thing you want or expect to see this summer, gentlemen, from Norwich City. Could be anything. I'm out. I feel like my brain has recoiled.
The players are coming back on June the 13th, is that right? June the 14th for testing, which
sounds right.
I don't actually blown my mind. That's what 3 weeks they've got off.
3 weeks.
That strikes me as.
But then the season starts at the end of July, so it does kind of make sense.
I thought everyone had 4.5 weeks off. So, but I haven't.
What would that take you to July, though, wouldn't it?
Not from now.
Just
before
July.
1, 2, 3, 4. It'd be the 22nd of June.
5 weeks before the season starts.
I hope we're having more than 5 weeks off. Not
it's a balance. It is.
Pod, obviously.
Yeah. Oh God. We won't do them in pre-season, do we? I mean, there is a genuine balance between time off to recuperate and recover, and I suppose maintaining fitness and preparations.
I've been corrected. It's corrected twice, either June the 24th or June the 27th, apparently, which still does not seem a very long time to have off after that season we've just endured.
Indeed, 4.5 weeks. But then, to a degree, there's only so much they can do about it as well, isn't there? So I guess we want to see them refreshed. Is that what you're saying, Dan?
Yep, and one thing I like to see is Omid Bamadeli back in training and his injury concerns behind him, because I think he's probably our one great hope for next season from that academy.
That would be good.
I think just savvy, canny recruitment. Obviously, we're not going to know whether that is, whether it has been good until we're well into the season. But I would quite like to see us get some hungry players. I think what we're missing, right, is we've got the experience of going up to the Championship. We've signed a group of players who are Premier League level, or at least wouldn't have joined us if we weren't in the Premier League. Now I think we need a few players who are sort of hungry, haven't experienced that promotion to the Premier League. Maybe some sort of decent Championship standard type players we can get for not a huge amount of money. I think they're the kind of players that Smith could get the best out of.
Any particular position?
Midfield, defensive
3 or 4
midfield,
central
Michael.
midfielders.
Yes, as J Crick 12 says, a proper DM. That would be really, really nice.
Good.
A lot of HMS pissed the league shouts. It's after 9 o'clock now.
That works on the podcast, Stu, but carry on.
Aye. In the chat, a lot of folks saying that we're not going to next season, so I want there to be a bit of patience because I don't think it's going to be. We're not going to I would be very surprised if we won the league for a third consecutive championship season, and I think it's as long as we get promoted, we should be happy. Anything less than top 6 is unacceptable, but I think there needs to be a degree of patience because Dean Smith's. He's still essentially, I know he was brought in last year, but this is essentially going to be him finally working with a squad and beginning to be able to mould it a bit in his own image without the pressure of sort of Premier League games and trying to punch above where your squad is actually at. So I would like to see there be enough patience for the guy to get time to carve out what he's trying to do, because I do think he's a really good manager. I think Craig Shakespeare's a really good deputy. I think there's a good management team there, and I hope they get backed in an appropriate way. But actually, conversely to signings in the door, I would like to see us bring money in the coffers for moving players on. I would like to see that Norwich City do still carry value in this squad by virtue of us being able to move players on for significant amounts of money. I'm looking primarily at Max Aarons in that regard.
Well, I'm sure there'll be people running the show who'd like to see that as well, definitely. Jingus, you get the last shout. Needed a good new kit to go with a new badge. So there we go. As always, we look forward to the kits. They were quite good this season.
Yeah, let's not have the Ferrari of the.
Do we need a new
as well?
Yeah, we need a new sponsor as well, don't we?
I'm not sure. I've been meaning to check that. I don't know the answer. I think Lotus had signed for only one season, but let's cross one bridge as it. A new sponsor would be great as well. Right. I think we're done. That is time for On the Ball, the Norwich City podcast. Not just for tonight, but for the entire season. So a huge thank you to everyone that has joined us on the pod, interacted with us, posted a comment, abused us, or simply summed up their thoughts in an emoji. You are all heroes to us, and rest assured we will never take for granted you giving up your time to take in this nonsense, which this week involved Stu saying Macodge. If you're yet to do so, make sure you subscribe via your podcast player of choice. The pod is available free for everyone on your usual podcast player. That won't be changing. And we are now streaming the recording of the podcast live in video form on my social media channels, and something that we will obviously look to continue with next season. Although we are all going out, well, most of us, because you can't get down from Glasgow, sadly, but we're going out for a meal, aren't we, in Norwich tomorrow night. We're going to have editorial chats.
Well, I look forward to hearing the extrapolations from that, but I repeat my rallying cry. Anyone that's coming north of the border, feel free to DM me and I'll happily help you.
I want thousands of Norwich fans ready to go to Celtic Park, rocking up, getting in hold of Stu, and you can all go around his garden for a barbecue.
I cannot wait to hear in 2 months' time the minutiae of why you regretted this.
Hey, listen, you're laughing, right? Glasgow.
Yep.
Glasgow is a city known for its ambassadorial welcome to people, and that's why they held COP26 here. No, but at the same time, like I want to exhibit that. I want to welcome people to my country, and especially any of my Canary family that come up. So anybody that's coming, safe journey. And
which end are you going to be in for the friendly?
I'm going to be in the Norwich end, but I might actually be the first guy legitimately able to wear a half and half scarf. There you go.
Wow. Wow. And they will produce them, you know it. Right. Where was I? Yes, ratings and reviews, wherever prompted, are always hugely appreciated, but there's no pressure. If you want to get in touch with any topics or questions, then do so. Probably won't get back to you for a few months, but go for it if you want. Send me a direct message on Twitter. The handle is @Michael J. Bailey. As for this evening, a big thank you to our guests tonight. Stu, thank you as always for your time and company.
Thank you very much, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Superstar. It's a lovely flag too. Dan, top man as always.
Thank you, Michael. Lovely to see all of you.
And Steve, thank you for your efforts throughout this season, bringing the numbers to life and not crying about the football.
Thank you. Yes, and I'm very easily set off, as you know. I do start crying just at the drop of a hat. No, it's been a blast. Thank you, and thank you to everyone, as you said, who's commented, particularly tonight. We've had a lot of comments, and it's helped make it a really good show, I think.
I mean, I guess you might have been crying once we'd gone off air. I hadn't really thought about that.
I've been struggling, but we'll talk about that later.
All right, we've got the meal tomorrow. We'll have a chat about that one.
Yeah.
Shall we all do it again next season?
I'm good.
Let's talk about that tomorrow as well.
Okay.
No.
Too soon. I'm sure we will. And we will be back, because I've written it here in my link. We will be back at some point in time. That's literally what I've written. For the first bout of next season's Canaries Capers. Hopefully not in a comical defending way, by the way. As we embark on our 4th season of the On the Ball Norwich City podcast. Until then, never mind the danger. And we're clear. Welcome everyone to Wits End. All you Twitterkers. Probably for the last time ever. I don't know. Maybe.
Oh,
maybe.
What is it getting canned?
You've said this off air after every single podcast this year.
Have I really?
Welcome to this much loved feature. Wits End.
Well,
it is the host's favourite feature.
We haven't done it for a couple of weeks, and some people did notice, so it wasn't zero. But you know, whether we continue doing this beyond into next season,
I feel like we've started the editorial meeting early here. We're doing it.
That's all right.
We're bringing the viewers in. It's great.
If you want to, if you want to message us, message this part of the show, you can use the hashtag Twitterkers, Twitter KEIS, or twitterkers@icloud.com, which I don't plan on closing as an email. So and people are still Twitterkers. Is the secret club will still be secret, whether we carry on or not.
Even more secret now.
See the thing
so secret.
The fantastic citizens of Great Britain prove themselves like really, really magnificent when provided with a democratic choice. So why don't you put it to a vote?
Yeah, I can't be bothered.
Are you worried about how few people would bother voting?
I think so. That would be the answer.
I had a thing like that. I think you're going to hate me, right? I put a thing up saying, "Does anybody want me to do any kind of sort of official thing when Norwich come to Scotland?" And the vast majority of the votes weren't yes or no. It was for don't care. This
is it. You have to appreciate. And also, turnout can be low for these things. You have to run the risk. A couple of things for this Wits End. Freddie Gavita got in touch with me. Will we ever see Flip the Bird on the Ball podcast? Any plans to go in person next season? So we could do an in-person pod.
What's Flip the Bird?
What is that?
Flip the Bird. When I used to do the Pinken show, Flip the Bird was a beer mats game where the guests had to try and flip as many beer mats as possible.
Yeah, I did have to do that.
Now, the problem is we haven't got any on the ball branded beer mats for starters. Someone just provided a load of Pinken ones. I guess there's...
Add it to tomorrow's agenda, Michael. Come on.
Yeah. And we'd have to do a pod in person, which we might do. We have half had that discussion. But then this is so engaging, it would be quite hard to have it streamed live as video. If we were
Can you improve on perfection?
You know, this is just too good. We're in our bubble. We think we're awesome. Try telling us otherwise. So I don't know, Freddie. I'm bearing it in mind, but I think maybe it's more up to the Pinken boys and girls if they want to bring back Flip the Bird on their Pinken show. I'll leave that to those guys. You know, they can if they want. I don't mind either way.
Did you talk about the Twitter spat? And any of the
we're not. No,
we're not.
No, even on with no, we're not. We're not talking about that.
Which one was that, Stu?
No, we're not. No, we are going to rise above. It's got nothing to do with us, and we don't need to get involved in it. I don't normally put my foot down.
Can we mute Michael?
I've had an email in. Moving on from Chandler Elsbecker to twitterkers@icloud.com. Hello, Michael and company. Sorry that you've all been relegated to that. I've been watching
limited company.
Yeah, I've been watching Sunderland win promotion and want to get this straightened out once and for all. What is the deal with this Alec Neil thing? Until listening to the On the Ball podcast, I never heard his name pronounced in any way other than how it's spelt. Never from Chris Coram or any other commentator, people who would know. Even Stuart Hodge introduced him as Alex in his big interview with the man last year. His full name, apparently. His full name, according to Wikipedia, is Alexander. I've Googled the issue and found nothing suggesting that he goes by Alec regularly. How did we collectively face the Aaron's ordeal, yet never have to reckon with how we were saying a past manager's name? Michael, I've never doubted your sincerity in pronouncing the name the way you do, although it does sound like you are. I'm only joking. Considering the care you put into saying every name correctly, possibly. Additionally, Steve humorously brought this up during the Irn-Bru affair. I love that. And got a straight-faced response saying it was positively said, Alec, did I miss something? Does Alec Neil just not care enough to make a big deal out of it? Or have I been gaslit by a well-executed and incredibly niche deadpan act? And it's indeed been Alex this whole time. Anyhow, I thank you for your good work. And he says some lovely stuff.
Who was that?
But, yeah.
Who was the name
This
of the
is Chandler.
Chandler,
my favorite, Chandler Elsbecker.
That is
outstandingly good name.
It's a brilliant name.
Great
name and
great message.
Wonderful correspondence.
Yeah,
it's a wonderful email on a subject that I have had to field for I don't know. Well, since Alec came to Norwich, basically.
Since who? Sorry,
Alec Neil.
So can I just say I'll apologise on behalf of Chandler. To Chandler and on behalf of Scotland. So Alec.
Okay, well, there we go.
Can I also add? Can I add into that? And that's obviously right. But when I was working at the club, Alex Neil did say to me after a press conference, "Why does Michael Bailey call me Alec all the effing time?"
Yeah. Is that actually true?
Yeah, in the right spirit. He wasn't, annoyed or anything.
Maybe it's something like because Alec was always very much like I think I curried a wee bit of favour with him just by virtue of being Scottish, right? I think it's maybe one of those things. Maybe you've got to be Scottish to earn the right to say Alec. Now, I'm not an exclusive kind of guy. Like I'm said when I'm selling them, darling. But like I'm not really an exclusive kind of dude like that. I'm in inclusivity rather than exclusivity. So I'm happy for you to say Alec, Michael. But maybe Alec himself doesn't like you saying Alec and prefers.
Can we get
Alec.
the definitive answer on this? But before next season, then what is right? Because I thought I've always been told Alec by Michael, and now.
Well, I think so. The way it goes for me is that he did his first press conference at Colney. Tom Williams off of BBC Lookies said, "Hello, Alex. First question, obviously, is always good to know: is it Alec or Alex?" And he said, "Alex is fine." Not that it's right, but it's like, please call me Alex because I can't be asked to have, to correct people. So, and I, to be honest, have kind of always assumed, a bit like Stuart said, that Alec is probably a way you would pronounce it as a familiar form, and probably he gets it from the people he genuinely knows in Scotland, who are probably mostly Scottish.
It's perhaps a colloquialism as well, Michael.
Yeah. So, and then I've just always liked the idea of calling him Alec, and that generally that is probably how Alex tends to be pronounced in Scotland. Generally,
I would say, aye, for the most part. Well, with the male version of the name, if it's like a girl called Alex, it's always Alex.
So to me, it comes out. Do I say Jacob Sorensen? Well, no, not anymore, because that's right. So I call him Jakob Sorensen. So I call Alec Neil.
What do you call it?
But in Alex's own words, there isn't a right or wrong answer. So it's why it amuses me when everyone picks up on me telling me I'm wrong. I'm like, well, I'm not wrong, but you don't have to call him that if you don't want to.
It's like when at the 2012 World Cup, where every commentator apart from Tilsley was calling James Rodriguez, and Tilsley got a load of stick for pronouncing it James, as I guess it should be pronounced, and now everyone calls him James Rodriguez.
Clive Tilsley was right.
Or that strange period where Trevor Brooking decided to call Teddy Sheringham.
Yeah.
So Chandler, I don't know if that answers it. Certainly,
There's
we're not
another one of
gaslighting.
these.
We're not that intelligent.
There's another one of these like more contemporary with Norwich City with all these Kenny McLean folk, right? It's Kenny McLean, like John McLean out of Die Hard.
Yeah.
Right? It's no McLean as in clean your room, son.
Yeah.
You tell him.
Yeah. Idiot.
Codge.
Why do you think everyone calls him Kenny instead? Because no one ever remembers how to pronounce his surname properly.
Ken. Because Dean Smith has come forward with the gold Ken McLean, hasn't he?
Kudos to Jay Crick in the comments, by the way. He says maybe you have to be Scottish to say Irn-Bru right as well.
It seems you need to be Scottish to say Alec, Roland Slice, Irn-Bru, or McLean.
And McCodger as well? Can we call you McCodger as Englishmen?
No, it's no McCodge. It's not got an accent in the E. It's McCodge. Ross McCodge, mate. I'm liking it. I want to become...
It's a good pen name, Ross McCodge.
Can I say my favourite part of that email, though, was where I got the credit for Dan's humorous patter, because I'm pretty sure it was him that made the Alec Neil reference and not me. But I'll take it. That's fine.
Take it. Well,
I'm sure Michael's probably enjoyed me bringing that up over the last 5 years, at least on a 2 monthly basis, I'd say.
Yeah, pretty much.
And how do you pronounce Mick Dennis? Is that right?
Swap one of the letters.
Stop it. I can mute you all at a tick. Right. So for Wits End, for Wits End, stop it. We've done space puns, teeth puns. Zodiac Whitbread was obviously a real highlight.
Yeah, said with enthusiasm. I feel like maybe now is the right time to bring it to a close, because the man himself has made his next step to become assistant manager of Fleetwood Town. I mean, I hate to bring up Scotland again, but under the tutelage of Scott Brown.
We never stop. I know Stephen Whittaker was a Rangers player, but the man in charge of that team was Scott Brown. Brownie. Yeah. Right.
Great. Thanks
One of the most overrated midfielders I've ever watched play football. Couldn't he do a 15-yard pass?
I mean, yeah, we had Emmy other business at the end, and that merged to then Kenny other business. But he's now Kenneth.
That's a Roop was
the sign off, and it is literally that is a Roop. He's gone.
Here's the thing.
You could call it Kenneth. You believe it? No, actually, you couldn't. You couldn't do that. Ignore that. Edit that bit out, Michael.
I think it'd be more Victor Meldrew.
We'll be getting an email about that.
Aye, at that point, but I forget it.
Great. I think on that, I mean, we have been going an extraordinary amount of time.
This podcast may have been longer than all the
It is 10 to 10.
Yeah.
The good thing is everyone's got
John Rowe and Gary Springer will be in bed by now, won't they?
Gary.
We've actually provided more entertainment in this in 102 minutes than Norwich City have in the entirety of the season. Probably.
I'm not convinced that is true, but it is. It is an indictment of
certainly energy. I think we've had more energy over this 90 minutes plus than we saw on Sunday. And that, I think, is a tripping tribute. Right. Okay. Thank you all for a brilliant pod. Thanks everyone for watching all season. I've already done all thank yous, but we sincerely mean it. We'll see you in August. Probably it could be July. God,
it could be July.
Or the summer if you come to sunny Scotland.
or the feeding of the 5,000 with Hodgie McCodge. He's going to serve you all McCodge. So until next time, get in touch with us. twitterkids@icloud.com. That will be running.
Just a quick one, Michael. Before you
there cannot be anything left to say. There's no more words. Of
on the comments, a dude called James R. Just after we're talking about James Rodriguez, James R's making some good points. And Jay Crick, send me a DM on Twitter. I like your part, mate. Catches.
What did any of that mean? What did he just said? Jay Crick says it's a cruel way to end
it, Michael. End it. We've all got lives to lead.
Yes, we need somewhere else to be.
If only we had the referee from Sunday who just blew on 90 minutes exactly.
How did we not mention that? And Simon Hooper did it as well the other week at Leicester.
Bye, Mike Dean. What a character.
Okay, there's no more to it. Gents, thank you so much. On 3, it would be lovely to hear you say goodbye. 1, 2, 3.
Bye. See you on the lap of appreciation.
There we go. Oh, we should do a lap of, we could do that in Norwich after our editorial meeting. Thank you, everyone. That is it for tonight's pod and for Wits End. But remember, you can still get in touch. Hashtag Twitterkers, email twitterkers@icloud.com. You never know. We might throw one of these out every so often if we're drunk. But until next time, whenever that next time is. Oh, Lucas, that's a rub. Can you believe it? 1 hour, 44 minutes and 30 seconds after we started, we have finished. I can still see Steve, Dan, and Steve and Dan's face. They look absolutely shot. Stu was actually leaning back. There we go. We're done. Have a lovely evening. Enjoy your summer. We're already halfway through it probably by now. And see you on the other side of whatever is next. Good night, everyone.